Hey everybody, welcome to my studio. Um, Essentially what I've been working on are my more of the tattoo portraits. They are uh, basically done life size. The canvas is a 6 foot by 2.5 foot canvas that I work on, and they hang with at least about 6 inches of space at the bottom, so that when they're read all together in a row, you're basically in a room full of people, right? Even on the walls. Um, and so it puts them on your level, on your space, something tangible and relatable. It's not a little window. Now, uh, I've done some sketches to give you an idea of what we're talking about here. Um, so basically, what I'm working on here, you've got your figure and this disruption of the figure, and the tattoo finishes the contour so that you can see the planes and you see it three-dimensionally, even though there is a ground and figure relationship interaction there. Um, so I'll show you some of the ones I've done in the past, and then I'll address some of the issues that I'm working on in order to push this further. Until then, I do want to talk about my process a little bit. I previously have never really used a concrete studio process. Very much in the head. I would come up with a lot of the ideas, sort through what works, what doesn't work, by theory, and eliminate a lot of things without actually putting it into, I guess, physical. Without actually making a mark. I would discern a lot of what I wanted to do and assign my parameters before even doing anything. And a lot of that was, one, because I couldn't help myself and I just thought about stuff a lot. And two was I didn't like working in other mediums like charcoal or pen or watercolor or things like that if I were going to be doing a finished work in acrylic. And maybe that's a little silly, but at the time it was really important to me. I just did not like working in things because I felt like I wasn't working out any issues unless I was using the medium, because it was issue specific or whatever the case may be. Now I do a lot more sketches, play with a lot more different mediums, especially like a liquid acrylic or a liquid watercolor, inks and things like that, pens, just to make a lot of the sketches as place notes, that I can work on and basically get myself ready to work on a larger scale. I do still weigh a lot of those formal qualities, even though I don't want to call it secondary in thought, but it's I won't trash an idea because it doesn't fit into a formal quality. Specifically things like rule of thirds and golden ratio and things like that. I do use them. But I also really, a long time ago, embraced a painterly style. As a former musician, specifically a drummer, I'm very rhythm oriented. When I paint in a rhythm, literally, and moving and creating this rhythm as I go is so much more interesting to me than this kind of smoothed out type look. So I do embrace that, and it does help that I paint on a larger scale, because as you step back to look at it, it does blend out. Not to say that I don't do blending, but I am not as concerned usually with trying to make these perfect transitions, because I don't find them as aesthetically pleasing as I do seeing the texture and having the excitement and vibration that energy creates. So that is essentially how that goes. Now, manifesting the ideas from the artist statement, I mean, it's pretty literal now that you know what it is and you've read it. It's using tattoos as signifiers for something internal, creating and manifesting an image out of it. And if you're familiar with sans serif, if not, go look up that symbolism, that type kind of thing, and look up sign, signifier, symbols, semiotics is what it is. But essentially what you're doing is, at the cost of your physical real estate, God-given natural arm, once you have this form of non-verbal communication with the signifier and meaning that I'm wanting you to see permanently placed on my body, I have eliminated this. Okay, so this part goes away, because most people don't see that anymore. When you see a tattoo, you're not looking at the skin, and you're no longer looking at the form of the arm. You're looking at this image that's been placed there. And so that's why is that image there? What does that image mean? And tattoo does have its own language. I will not go into that. I'm trying to keep this short relatively for me, I should say. But it does have its own language. And there are a lot of meanings, and there are, especially right now in contemporary tattoos, there are some really smart and witty things going on. Specifically, look up the meaning of the semicolon tattoo. I'll just leave it at that. It's pretty powerful. Okay. God, is that like Trump just in? Okay. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is reframe the tattoo as signifiers and personal importance, and how that works on a social level, right, in interaction. And what I've been doing is creating kind of a neutral background, or neutral ground, and having this complication of space by eliminating the rest of the form of the figure and having it completed by a tattoo. And you'll see a larger scale here in just a second. But essentially, what ends up happening right is ground, figure, tattoo. Here's the elimination of the real estate, right? Remember this one? Right? Changes everything and the way you see it and view it. So once you do that, complete the contour and form with the shape, right? But there's the elimination of that. You start questioning why, and why is there this complication of space? And that answer I'm still working on. And what I've done was moved away from that simple neutral background that made it so easy to see the difference and let your eye complete the space for you with the tattoos and the implied space, and complicate it with a third party. Okay, I just call it a complication. I don't really know technically what to call it, because there's the figure ground relationship, and in between that relationship is the third party, the complication. And in this case, it was something that had as much, if not more, of its own symbolism and connotation, which is the American flag. And using it here totally turned this painting around, because originally it was done previously like the one that you saw, and it was just the welder with his tattoos, missing skin, right? Okay. And put in the American flag, which changed the entire structure and meaning of this into, you know, that all-American hero, and pulled out, you know, feelings and emotions and that were associated with the flag. And what that ends up doing is twofold, and it's successful in this case, and that it addresses the issue that many of the people that feel that blue-collar workers are the backbone of society are also the same people that feel like invisible tattoos are somehow maybe unchristian, or you're going to go to hell for it, or it has somehow makes you an undesirable. You don't go out in polite company. Now this might be something kind of a southern viewpoint of it, but you know, you don't go out in polite company or whatever looking like that, or you're immediately looked at differently. So that really kind of brought up an issue, and I was trying to get people to kind of get that feeling of where we were at right now, um, in the way that we view this particular person. But a lot of people don't know why they um, look down on tattoos. I know historically why, and it was fine and dandy until sailors, and then later the bikers and prison people, like the Russian facial tattoos and Mexican gang tattoos, and all those people that felt like, they didn't have to answer to that normal polite society, and they got tied to them, tattoos, and the undesirable people, or the dirty people, whatever. And so now we're kind of at that point where, I mean, we are supposed to be thinking as a higher level. Okay, so if we're thinking at a higher level, well, we don't need those type of connotations, but they're stuck there through history. Anyway, most people don't know why they don't particularly care for it, and I'm trying to kind of bring that into light, and kind of show them, and using something that's so powerful as an American flag worked in this particular case, but I'm trying to move towards something that's a little bit more abstract, something that you can't quite put your finger on, to kind of bring that out, to say, look, you don't even really know what it is. Why do you dislike tattoos? I mean, every culture that I know of has this long history of tattoos. Kings, chieftains. It's only been in the last 100 years of our 6, 7, 8,000 years of known tattoos that, it's such a small fraction of time. So anyway, before I get too overly convoluted in that, let's get back to something that makes sense to you. So big picture, I think I addressed with complicating the space, pushing that a little bit more, satisfying the more academic need for the art, as opposed to something so on the nose that I've done already, and just out of pure interest to see how far it can be pushed before it becomes unintelligible, and try to ride that line and make it interesting. So that's where I'm at. I do have one quick idea that I want to throw out to you guys, and I really want some feedback on it. So say you go to tattoo, you're going to get a heart, right? I drew this pretty little heart, right? Two-dimensional rendering. You get it put on your body. So two-dimensional rendering on top of a three-dimensional shape, and you don't see all of it. And that's how I've been able to complete the form, even though I erase or not erase, I just don't paint the body, right, and close the form out with this curved shape. So what I'm thinking, I have to overly complicate this using the scrapes and pulls and layers and things like that, is bringing this two-dimension back out so that there is no completion of that form, as a way to complicate that space. But I'm going to work on it and see, like I said, I really would appreciate some feedback on that, on an academic level. I think all of us here that are in grad school have reached a point that we can't talk to family and friends about these things. So anyway, looking forward to seeing everybody else's studio and hear what you guys have to say, and looking forward to your feedback.